That's what they did with Hicks?
That's space. You've got to move on.
I thought that was the stupidest thing.
Hicks is not going to go out like that.
In the long list of intriguing rights disputes in Hollywood, few are as interesting as the standoff between Michael Biehn and 20th Century Fox over Alien 3.
I don't know whether it's ethical or legal for you to use Michael Biehn's likeness.
Oh, that's interesting.
Behind the scenes of the film's production, a discovery involving Biehn's face nearly triggered a lawsuit.
That would have been a big-ass lawsuit.
Tested the limits of what a studio could do with an actor's likeness, and left behind a resentment that has lasted for decades.
I can feel myself getting angry now about what they had done to Hicks.
To understand how this dispute came about, let's look back at the career of the actor in the center of it. Michael Biehn was building a reputation for intensity in film and television, gaining widespread exposure as Kyle Reese in James Cameron's The Terminator.
That Terminator is out there. It can't be bargained with. It can't be reasoned with.
Around the same time he was making The Terminator, Cameron was also hired to write and direct Aliens, the sequel to Ridley Scott's film Alien. One of the sequel's new main characters was Corporal Dwayne Hicks, with actor James Remar cast for the part. But Remar was fired 2 weeks into filming, following a drug arrest. Cameron quickly turned to Biehn as the replacement Hicks.
I came in, and they were already shooting. I think I left on a Friday, and I was in costume Monday morning working.
Biehn turned the character into one of the most beloved in the Alien franchise.
Outstanding.
On set, Biehn brought a steadiness to the role that stood out against a cast of hardened space marines. Other than Ripley, Hicks was the one Marine who treated Newt, the young survivor played by Carrie Henn, like a person rather than a liability. His connection with Ripley was another reason audiences responded to him as strongly as they did.
I thought that what I represented somehow showed a softness in her, which I thought was important to the character.
Doesn't mean we're engaged or anything.
Maybe I saw it more as becoming like a team, like Ripley and Hicks from then on in, Maybe when we get rid of killing all these aliens, we'll get together, but that was never meant to be, I guess.
An important part of Biehn's performance involved the acid burn scarring that disfigures part of Hicks' face towards the end of the film. The film doesn't give us a good look at Hicks's scarred face, but Biehn has stated that to achieve the effect, the production took a cast of his head, which the makeup team used to design and fit prosthetics. In 1986, Aliens was released to enormous commercial and critical success, cementing James Cameron's reputation as a big-time Hollywood director. Sigourney Weaver's Ripley became an icon in her own right.
Where you want it?
Michael Biehn was pleased with how the production turned out, and continues to give the film high praise.
Alien's the best movie I've ever been in, without a doubt. We had very, very high hopes, but you never know.
Ripley, Hicks, alongside Newt and the android Bishop, emerged as the survivors in Aliens, with audiences wanting to see them in another adventure. But things didn't turn out that way. While developing the third film, producers David Giler and Walter Hill worked with multiple writers and directors, coming up with a number of settings for the film.
What do you do with this one to make it different? The whole idea you can't do something that's just going to be a reheat of one or two.
At first we thought about a scientific way station in space where sort of covert experimentation was going to go on.
There was a script at one point that had 20 power loaders fighting 20 Queen aliens, and that would have been a $200 million movie, and it was just not doable.
Another option was moving on from Ripley as the main character, and possibly centering the story on Hicks. Eventually, the producers settled on the idea of the film taking place on a prison planet, and hiring relative newcomer David Fincher as the director. By the time Fincher was brought on to direct, Ripley was restored to the center of the story, and the decision was made to remove Hicks and Newt, killing them off in the opening while still in hypersleep.
Were you disappointed when they made the decision to kill Newt?
Okay, that's a separate subject.
We just felt that Sigourney coming back by herself was the most powerful image that we could have for three.
Biehn was not happy with this decision.
I was incredibly disappointed and didn't understand why they needed to kill my character off.
I mean, the
ludicrously stupidness of all of this is just insane.
But what he objected to the most was how casually Hicks was removed from the story.
No way can they do this, can they?
The matter became even more complicated with the fact that Biehn learned about the details essentially by accident.
And I found out about it, that they had already shot the sequence.
While he was working on another film in Los Angeles, producer Rafaela De Laurentiis visited Pinewood Studios in England, where Alien 3 was in production.
And she came back and she said, "Hey, Michael, I was over at Pinewood Studios and I saw you at Pinewood."
What are you talking about? Yeah, I saw Hicks, chest blown out.
Like a dummy character of me, laying on the ground with my chest opened up, as if the alien came out of me.
I was like, really? Really?
Now, not everyone agrees on exactly what was built. Some effects artists who worked on the film have said no such dummy of Hicks, specifically with a chest burst open, was used.
It was just a replica of him. His cryo chamber is broken open and a big I-beam has come down basically and just, destroyed his head and it had nothing to do with him being violated by a face hugger.
So there's all like nuances that get missed when people are really upset.
But Biehn's own account from a 2011 interview is that there was a mold of his face from Aliens, and that there were initial plans to replicate his face in Alien 3 using that mold, which was enough for him to draw a hard line.
I was pissed.
Biehn was furious, not simply that he hadn't been asked, but that a piece of his own face was about to be used to kill his character off in a way he considered a betrayal of everything he and Cameron had built.
You put so much effort into that character, and so did I. And the fact that you're going to dismiss him like this?
You build a lot of goodwill around the characters of Hicks and Newt and Bishop. And then the first thing they do in the next film is kill them all off and replace them with a bunch of convicts that you hate and want to see die.
Yeah.
Really smart guys.
When Biehn tells the story about the use of his likeness, he draws a direct line to Crispin Glover's fight with Universal Studios over Back to the Future Part 2 from a few years earlier, a case that reshaped a studio's use of an actor's face without consent.
They took Crispin Glover's likeness and they used it in Back to the Future 2. And Crispin Glover, God bless him, man, he sued. So there was precedent that you can't just take Michael Biehn's image of Hicks and do whatever you want with it without paying him. In subsequent productions, yeah. Exactly.
When Biehn's agent contacted 20th Century Fox, he made clear the studio did not have permission to use his likeness. Fox came back with an offer, but Biehn refused.
Because they started saying, well, we'll pay you $100,000. And I was like, I don't need your money. But there was no way Hicks was going to go out like that. I don't care how much money you have, that alien is not coming out of my chest.
David Fincher, then a first-time feature film director under enormous pressure from the studio, personally called Biehn to make the case for using it anyway.
And Fincher called me on the phone, and I was like, go f*** yourself, man. Yeah,
I wondered why you've never been cast in a David Fincher film.
So then we got a call, a month or two later that they wanted to use my photograph. I said, now you can pay me. I got paid almost as much for that photograph as I did for the first movie that I did.
Even though there was a financial resolution, it seems Biehn's frustration has not faded with time.
It still kind of resonates, like what they thought they could do with Hicks.
But there was an effort in 2019 to course correct what was done in Alien 3.
I left my squad out there. All of them. That makes me Mission CO.
A full-cast audio adaptation was created from an unproduced 1987 feature script written by William Gibson.
Story is what makes films great, what made television great, and what would make an audio great.
The story is a direct continuation of Aliens, featuring Hicks, Newt, Bishop, and Ripley. The audio story was received with mixed reviews at best, but it did give a sense of what could have been on the big screen had the third film gone in a different direction.
James Cameron used to always talk about the possibilities of Alien 3 and what would happen. And he always kind of planned on Ripley, Hicks, and Newt going back to Earth and being a family.
But Sigourney Weaver has expressed a different view on her character of Ellen Ripley.
Do we keep the sort of family motif going, or do we? To me, Ripley's always been a sort of solitary person, even though she wants the other thing.
The Alien franchise has spent decades trying to recapture the quality and success of the first two films. But from underwhelming prequels to convoluted crossovers, the series has struggled to reclaim its legendary status. Perhaps if the producers had kept Corporal Hicks alive as the lead in the third film, the fortunes of the entire franchise might look very different today.